Hey class, welcome back to week 5 of remote learning here. Nice job last week with solving the quadratic equations. We're going to continue with solving quadratic equations this week, but we're going to look at them through a different lens. We're going to do it by graphing, all right? So this is lesson 8.3, solving polynomials by graphing. All right, so again, if you have not printed these notes out, print these off, please, and follow along. And if you are not able to print them off, then have a your paper handy so you can write notes down for the things that I write down here, so you can get some practice in, okay? So here we go. So we're going to start with a little warm-up here, right? This is kind of a review from last week here, all right? So the directions say solve the following trinomials by factoring, right? So we have our trinomials, right? We need a factor. We need to find factors of our last term that add to the middle term, and then we need to finish solving this, okay? So this is just a little more practice from last week. All right, so why don't you go ahead and pause the video and go ahead and answer these two problems, and let's see what we get here. Awesome. All right, let's go. Let's see what you did. So for number 1 here, right, we want to find factors of 5 that add to 6. All right, well, my factors of 5 are just going to be 1 times 5, right? Those are my only two factors of 5, and 1 plus 5 does equal 6. So that's the two factors that I'm going to use, right? So now I can set up my parentheses here, right? We have x plus 1 times x plus 5 equals to 0, okay? And now, right, we're going to use that zero product property and solve both of these equations. All right, so we're going to say that x plus 1 equals 0, and we're also going to say that x plus 5 equals 0. All right, and now we're going to solve both of these by the same way, inverse operation. So we get x is equal to -1. And we subtract 5 here, and we subtract 5 here, and we get x is equal to -5. Awesome. All right. So hopefully that's what you got. And now we're going to try number 2 together. All right. Or actually, you guys tried number 2. Let's see what you got here. All right. So for number 2, we had to find factors of 12 that added up to 8. Well, my factors of 12 are 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. All right, and of those 3 pairs of factors, I'm going to use that 2 and 6 because 2 plus 6 gives me 8. All right, so now I'm ready to factor this. All right, so we get x plus 2 times x plus 6 is equal to 0. All right, but again, I'm not done solving this, right? The directions said to solve. So now to solve, I set up both of these equations equal to 0, or both of these products equal to 0, right? So I say x plus 2 equals 0, and I say x plus 6 equals 0. So now I subtract 2, and we get x is equal to -2, and I subtract 6, and we get x is equal to -6. All right, so those were my 2 solutions there for number 2. All right, so that was a warm-up. Hopefully you kind of remember that from last week. All right, and so now here comes the new stuff. All right, so we're looking at graphs of a quadratic function. All right, so the graphs of a quadratic functions, or x squared, are parabolas, right? And parabolas are the shape of a U. They're kind of U-shaped. So these are the graphs of the polynomial equations from the problems in the warm-up. All right, so graphs A here, and graphs B here, all right, are going to be the same graphs from our warm-ups up here, right? So it's going to be these 2 equations are going to be these 2 graphs. All right, so the graph of y equals x squared plus 6x plus 5 is this, right? You can see this U shape here, okay? So now if we look at this graph, all right, we want to find the x-intercepts, right? And the x-intercepts are the points where the graph crosses the x-axis, right? So here's my x-axis, right? So where does this graph, where does my parabola cross it? Well, it crosses it here, and it crosses it there, right? Well, those 2 spots, right, are going to be -1 and -5. Okay, that's not too bad, but we've done x-intercepts before. All right, now look, let's look at example B here, right? Again, here's my x-intercept. All right, and this is the graph of y equals x squared plus 8x plus 12. All right, and this one has x-intercepts of here and there, right? And what are the values of x's at those two spots? Well, it's going to be -2 and -6. Interesting. All right, so I see a box here, which probably means this is important. All right, so now let's look here. What relationship do you notice between the solutions in the warm-up and the x-intercepts of the graphs? Well, let's look back at our solutions to our warm-ups. All right, oh, look at that. For warm-up number 1, our solutions were x equals -1 and x equals -5. In graph A, our x-intercepts are -1 and -5. Very interesting. All right, how about here? Example 2 warm-up, we had x equals -2 and x equals -6. And look at that, our x-intercepts are also -2 and -6. So what relationship do we notice? Well, we notice that they are the same values or numbers. Okay, so that means that solutions or zeros or roots are also known as x-intercepts, right? All those names, all those words I just said mean the same thing, right? Solutions, zeros, roots, or x-intercepts all mean the same thing, okay? So now let's look at a couple more graphs here. All right, so here the directions say to identify the solution of each polynomial function, and we're going to assume that each one of these little units or each one of these little lines is 1. All right, so practice A here, right? Here's my graph. All right, so I'm looking for the x-intercepts. I'm looking here and I'm looking at that. All right, so I can say that my x-intercept is -1. And my other x-intercept is 1, 2, 3. So that means my solutions are x equals -1 and 3. All right, so my graph B here, right? Here's an x-intercept and there's an x-intercept. So I can say that we have an x-intercept of 1 and we have an x-intercept of 1, 2, 3. So my x-intercepts are 1 and 3. Therefore, my solutions are 1 and 3, right? So x equals 1 and x equals 3. All right, and then on my last graph here, right, again, here, this purple line is my graph. I have an x-intercept of 2, and I have an x-intercept of 1, 2, 3, 4. That means my solutions are x equals 2 and x equals 4. Awesome. All right, that's not too bad. All right, we got one more part to this, all right? And this last part is going to be kind of the fun part here, all right? Now you're going to be able to graph these quadratic functions and be able to identify the solutions, all right? So you can do this one of two ways, right? We can do it by hand, right? Where you're given a graph and you identify the x-intercepts where the graph crosses the x-axis, right? That's kind of what these practice A, B, and C's were like. Or we can do it with a calculator, all right? And we're going to do it with a graphing calculator on our computers here. All right, and to do it by a calculator, all right, we're going to follow these kind of steps here. We're going to go to this website, desmos.com, right? We're probably familiar with this if you were in class with me last year, right? We've done some stuff on Desmos, all right? And then we have to type in the equation of the line, and except we're not going to type in that equals 0 part, okay? Just type in the equation of the line without that equals 0 part. And then we're just going to simply hover the cursor over the points to find the x-intercepts. And then we might need to zoom in or out as needed to see the graph here. All right, so those are kind of the 4 steps to graph using Desmos. All right, so now let's read these directions. All right, so the directions say to solve the following quadratic or polynomial equations using desmos.com. And we're going to write the solutions on the line, and we're going to also include an image of the graph using some sort of screenshot or similar tool. All right, So here we go. The first one is x squared minus 11x plus 28 equals 0. All right, so we're going to use desmos.com. All right, so we can, it's hyperlinked here in the notes, but I also have it linked, of course, in our e-learning materials folder for week 5. All right, so I got that link right there. So when you guys do the homework, all right, we can use this link here to get to Desmos. All right, so we can just hover over and click on Desmos, and we can start graphing. All right, so we got x squared minus 11x plus 28. All right, so we're going to type that here into this first line here. Right, we used to do x. Oh, wait a second. How do I get to my tools here? I need to hide my tools. All right, here we go. All right, so we can see down here, a squared is how we're going to get to our little exponent of 2. So we said x squared minus 11x plus 28. And look at that, there's our graph. All right, a nice U shape here. All right, and I can hover over and I can see my 1x intercept is 4. And if I hover over here, I can see my other x intercept is 7. So therefore, my solutions are x equals 4 and x equals 7. All right, but now I also want you to include an image, all right? And if you can just follow along with the notes for today, or you can make like a little rough sketch on your own, okay? But on the homework, I want you guys to include an image of your graphs, all right? So you can take a screenshot of it and just upload your screenshot. I happen to have a snipping tool on my computer, so maybe you guys have a similar tool on yours that you can use to put these images on, all right? So if you use like a snipping tool or a screenshot, right, you can just copy and paste it right onto your document here. All right, and this is what I want you to do for the homework, all right? So I did a little Control V, a little Control C action here, all right? And then we can just put this graph right underneath our equation here. All right, so now let's look at example 2 here. We got 2x squared plus 5x minus 7. So we got 2x squared minus 5x minus 7. All right, and there's a graph of that one. All right, and you can see it also. If we wanted to, we can zoom in and out here. Nope, not zoom in, right? Zoom out, and there's our graph. You can see the whole thing here where it kind of bottoms out. All right, but I'm kind of interested only on my x-intercepts, all right? So here are my 2 x-intercepts. It's at -1, and it's at 3.5. All right, so that means my solution is going to be x equals -1 and x equals 3.5. Now go ahead and do the same thing, right? The snipping tool or screenshot tool, all right, and take a picture so I can see where those x-intercepts are, all right? And go ahead and paste it right onto your document here. All right, and there's that graph where I might have to change the size up a little bit so that it fits. Nope, I don't want to crop that. I want to undo that. Control Z, Control Z. All right, let's try this again. All right, there we go. And it's moving underneath there. All right, there's my second graph, and we got one more equation here. 3x squared plus 2x minus 8 is equal to 0. All right, so you can go in here and just backspace and delete this, or you can clear the whole thing out with just hitting that x. All right, and then we'll kind of just start over. 3x squared plus 2x minus 8. So we said 3x. All right, you can use this keyboard, and here's that square, plus 5x. So plus 5x minus 8. All right, again, do not put that equals 0 part to this, all right? Otherwise, it's not going to make a graph, all right? So use everything except that equals 0 part, all right? Then you can go ahead and hide the keyboard, and there's our graph, all right? And we can see our 2 x-intercepts are 1 and then we have negative 2.667. All right. So when we write that, we can write most of it. We don't have to write every single decimal, but we should include some. All right. So when you say x is equal to negative 2.66 and x is equal to 1. Nope, and I did not write that in right. 2x, 3x squared plus 2x minus 8. So I'm sorry about that. So we should get x is equal to negative 2 and x is equal to 1.333. All right, so let me go ahead and erase those. I knew that didn't seem right. All right, so we got x is equal to negative 2, we said, and x is equal to 1.333. And again, I want to include an image of this graph. So use your snipping tool or your screenshot tool and get a nice little picture of this graph. And go ahead and paste it on the notes. And then when we do the homework, we're going to want to paste your graphs onto the homework, okay? So let me just change the sides up a little bit here. Here we go. Move it underneath. All right, and that's how you're going to use that Desmos.com to write your solutions and to put in your graphs. All right, again, if you have any questions with any of these tools or anything, just email me and let me know, and I'll get back to you.